What do we got here? Purple walls. We got a table. We got a hallway out there. This is where my parents work. This is the house that my mom and dad built. Well, they didn't build it. They lease out this space every 7 years for their little company, and yeah, that's why I'm here. I picking up mi madre after a day at work, so I got some time to kill because she's talking to somebody, so now I'm gonna talk to you. I am back for another vlog. See, I want to upload more frequently, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to upload more. I don't really look so great right now because I'm under this harsh fluorescent, like, food poisoning lighting. That's why I look extra pale. I'm already like ghost white for a Middle Eastern girl anyway, but I've got this huge, like, Jupiter-sized zit right here. Say hello to my little friend. We are gonna be talking about a short story I wrote recently. Yes, this is another Why I Wrote It video, and as the title denotes, the short story I'm going to be talking about today is the one I wrote called Muscle Memory. So, about the story, I'm sorry, you might hear the clock ticking in the background. That is the clock telling me to hurry up and get a career. It takes place in the year 1979 in Boston. Shocker! Like pretty much all my stories do. And the main characters are students at Boston University. Almost all of them are. My alma mater. Go Terriers! Go Terriers! I can just see like somebody from alumni development department, whatever they have, watching this video being like, "Hi, Sharisse, Zeroonian. Thank you for talking about us in your video. We are so glad to have you as an alum. Actually, we're not, but we're just saying that because we want you to write us into your will and give us all your money for the rest of your life." So in the story, we go into the mind of a young man named Alan, and Alan is the lead guitarist for a band that he made with 4 other friends. The band is called Red Flag. Flag with 2 G's. I don't know why I wanted them to call it that. It's like exactly the kind of thing you would expect a young 20-something to name a band. Like, ooh, Red Flag! Like, we're dangerous! We're so hardcore and we're so cool! And the members of the band Red Flag, the story opens with them eating hamburgers in a restaurant after they performed at one of their shows, which did not go well at all. They got a lot of hecklers, they had a lot of unruly behavior from the audience, and this has been a pattern for the band. And they're not making a ton of money, they're just making tips. They made like, I think I'd said in the story, they made like $7 from one performance to split amongst themselves, which in 1979 was like, I don't know, like $40 or something. And when you're splitting it amongst 5 people, that's definitely not a lot. Not a lot of Washingtons, as I say. And to be fair, like, that's probably more than I've like ever made from my films. So keep your chin up, Alan. You're doing pretty good, as Larry David would say. Like, how did I end up from talking about my story to the inflation rate in 1979 to Curb Your Enthusiasm? It's fun to stay at the ADHD. It's fun to stay at the ADHD. I would do the letters in my hands, but I'm holding the phone in my other hand, so that's why you see this weird movement. That was my attempt making an ADHD. Alan is taking it the hardest out of all of them. Like, he's the only like serious musician in the band. A lot of them are just doing it like because it's fun or because they want like a little extra, I don't know, bus money or whatever, just some extra change, some cash. But for Alan, like he really is focused on a music career. He's going to school for a music education degree that he thinks is probably gonna get him a job that will kept him fed until he can eventually get himself signed to a label and get world fame and all the money he can imagine and not have to work the 9-to-5 life anymore. Anyway, he has a longtime girlfriend whom he met in college named Maggie, and she frequently reminds him that this goal, this, I guess, fantasy of his, because that's, let's be honest, is probably what it's going to be, is not realistic. And she wants to have a life with him. She imagines herself being with him, having more of like a stable, ordinary, conventional life, and where they could be together. And you know, she doesn't want the instability of someone who's like struggling to be an artist. Like, she wants to have just a normal, I had to put that in quotes, future with him. You know, she herself is studying to be a nurse. Back then, BU had a nursing school. It doesn't anymore. I believe it closed in like the late 80s. But anyway, she's a very like straight arrow, by the book sort of person. She doesn't really understand the concept of art for art's sake. She more understands the money for God's sake. I don't actually like 10cc at all. I like one song by them, and that's The Things We Do for Love, and that's it. Anything else makes me want to like smash my head into the window whenever it comes on in the car. And so we kind of see in the text of the story, it kind of goes back and forth in time with vignettes and things. And I see him having a fight with Maggie over the future and how what she wants is more of like a stable, you know, two people with stable careers and being in love, marriage, family, raising kids. And like on some level, he wants that too, but he also wants to achieve his dream of being a musician. So he's kind of torn between the two. And he's been kind of neglecting Maggie a little bit. Like, he's been canceling on her for gigs that don't end up going well anyway. And she's getting kind of frustrated with being put on the back burner. But meanwhile, she too is absorbed in her own goals and passions. Like, she a lot of times will be absorbed in her nursing school homework. And granted, I know my sisters out there who are nurses, I have heard about how much nursing school can suck the life out of your freedom and then stab it and then crap all over it and flush it down the toilet and a million other things. But it's all worth it in the end, and you're saving lives and you're doing great things. So shout out to nurses. As Alan points out, Maggie's reasons for being unavailable are slightly more understandable, because unlike him, all her effort is following a clear path. Like, she knows what she's going to do. She knows what she wants to do. She knows that she's going to be working the day after she walks across the stage to get her diploma. And, but Alan, he's not so sure. But there's another lady in Alan's life who is just as important to him as Maggie is, and that is his childhood friend Sarah. And Sarah and Alan have been friends since they were little, and they grew up in Chicago together. That's where Alan is from. But a couple years prior to when the story takes place, as you'll see in a vignette, Sarah had to move back with her family. I don't know why I'm saying move back, because she was always from Chicago, but what I mean to say is she had to move to Iran with her family because she's half Iranian, and her maternal grandmother is in poor health, and you know, there's not much the doctors can do, so the family felt it was best to go and care for her, and that meant Sarah had to go too. And she's a couple years younger than Alan, so it's not like she was in college or anything at the time. But and for those of you who don't know, 1979 was a huge year for Iran and America because of the Iranian Revolution. And for those of you who don't know what that is, the Iranian Revolution was basically when the Shah was overthrown, and Iran became, as it's now called, the Islamic Republic of Iran. Before the revolution, it was a lot more secular. You know, there are people like my own family who are ethnic Armenian Christians. They, you know, were able to exist just fine in Iran, you know, amongst their Muslim friends and things like that, and there was not all these restrictions. You could drink back then. People could wear mini skirts back then. It was a lot more free. And then after the revolution happened, everything became like, all the laws and everything in the country became a theocracy. And they all had to, anybody who was there had to abide by the rules of Islam. It was just a really tumultuous time. And Alan, as somebody who's watching the news and paying attention to what's going on, he worries a lot because his friend Sarah is there and he doesn't know if something's going to happen to her. Is she gonna be okay living in that country when all this crazy stuff is happening? Is she gonna, there's a one point he's watching something about the hostage crisis on TV, and he's saying how thankful he is that she's not in there, but he's still kind of worried about her being in Iran anyway. And you get a sense, well, I hope you get the sense, I hope I conveyed it, how much he deeply cares for her. And in the story, you see the difference between his relationship with Maggie and his relationship with Sarah, and what one woman can give him and what the other woman can give him. So it's like the two women in his life, they play two different very important roles, and they sort of balance each other out. And as he says later, the absence of one would leave just as big a crater in him as the other one would, as the absence of the other one would. It's such I think, and this is something that I plan to talk about more in another video. I just think it's so important to write stories about men and women who are not in love. Really. I feel like love stories are great. Nothing wrong with the classic love story, but it's been done to death. And I feel like we don't explore platonic friendships between men and women a lot, and the things that they can, that they can do for you. Sorry, I'm eating Jolly Rancher right now. I had to charge my phone a little bit, and I ate, and then I put a Jolly Rancher in my mouth. I know a good filmmaker doesn't reveal continuity issues, but I'm not a good filmmaker. The story takes place in 1979, so naturally I was listening to artists that were most popular at that time, People like Graham Parker, Elvis Costello, like Joe Jackson I was listening to a bit of, Dire Straits, Tom Petty, The Police. I mean, a lot of this music was what my parents were listening to at the time. My parents, my uncle, my mom's cousins. I don't know what their exact relation is to me, but I just call them aunt and uncle too. So, these were the soundtrack to their college years, and my mom tells me about her memories of walking around BU with her friends, and then we listen to that music. It reminds me of everything she told me. It's almost like I'm remembering something that I wasn't there for. And hearing those things, listening to those memories, and her saying how she felt, being with her friends and walking around campus and, having, crushes on guys, and just all these experiences that are just ordinary, but they're so extraordinary because they capture, it's a person's life you're hearing about. And you get to, go inside. It's almost I feel like when I hear something like that, I'm, inhabiting the skin of that memory. And even if it wasn't mine, and I'll start to imagine, the smells that may have been in the area, the sights, or the tastes, or, Thanks for watching. Oh, the lights just turned off in here. Have a look. And the lights all went out in Massachusetts. I wonder if my mom even knows I'm here. All right, I really gotta go. But thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and we will talk later. I just gotta make sure I'm not locked up in here.